Hello CS112, today I'll be going over a quick solution to Lab 8, which had to do with calling a recursive function. So you were given this template on Blackboard, which had three functions on it, def Fibonacci, def print matrix, and def fill matrix. And then it had a test case down here just to see if you were able to format this correctly. So how to format this matrix? Well, it describes everything down here, how you're going to be given a 7x7 2D matrix starting with 0.0. What you needed to do is format it to look something like this, working with the indices. So rather than just having all zeros here, you would compare the i's and the j's, or the rows and the columns of the indices, to populate it as needed. And as you can see here, there are dashes when I or j is equal to 0, stars when stars when I is equal to j, going on this slant here, and just the Fibonacci sequence in all the other i's and j's. So we're working with their indices here, so that gives us a hint on what our for loop needs to look like. You only need to call Fibonacci in this in your fill matrix definition here. The test will call print matrix itself. And in fact, I actually have the lab task here. If you were to just look at this, this is essentially all of the code you need right here. So I'm just going to copy and paste it and put it right into our function here. So def fill matrix, going to control V it, and I'm just going to, I'm going to make this part of the comment just so we can see it as the comment, because this is pseudocode. This is obviously not real Python code. So, excuse me. So we're going to be given a 2D matrix called ARR, and what we need to do is work with the i's and j's. So what that means is we're going to need a nested for loop using the range length function. So I'm going to say for I in range length, and I'm going to do the range length of array. And then for j, I'm going to say for j in range length array I. So in this case, I believe you were guaranteed to have a square matrix, so you could have just said array here as well, but it would be more correct to have array I, since this j is the length of each of these sublists here. So anyways, moving on from that, literally inside of this inside of this nested loop here is where you're going to be having these four if statements. Now I am going to just kind of be doing it in this order. We will run into some errors, but I'll explain the errors and fix them. So the first one, if I is greater than j, array I, j equals, and then this is where we call Fibonacci of I divided by the Fibonacci of j. So as you can see, this is literally given to us right here, and we'll just do the same with the rest of them. So I'm going to have another if statement and say if I is less than j, array I, j is equal to Fibonacci j divided by Fibonacci I. And now for the fourth one, you want to check if I is equal to j. You're going to set array I, j to be equal to a star or asterisk. And then lastly, the last thing it wants you to check is if I is equal to 0, or if j is equal to 0. The array I 0 is going to equal a dash. So yeah, this is all the code we needed. We're just going to have to debug it now. But yeah, everything was given to us by these four statements, which was on the assignment PDF. I'm just going to backspace out of them real quick, and let's test this code. To test this code, let me just make sure everything's here. Yep. You would just type in Python and then the name of the file. Click enter, and we're getting a division by 0 error. We shouldn't be getting this, but how are we getting this? Well, we do have division here, and what if this Fibonacci yields 0? So for instance, if I is 0 in this case, if I is 0 in this case, you'll be dividing by 0. So we can't do that. How can we alter this to check against that? Well, if we move this to be our first one, so if we deal with 0 right away, getting it out of the way, then there's no way, excuse me, there's no way we should be getting, we should be dividing by 0, because during every iteration, we only want to be assigning a single, I just realized that's there. We only want to be changing a single ij. So during the first iteration, this guy, second iteration, this guy, so on and so forth. So that actually gives a hint to the next thing we need to do is change all of these to elifs. Now, the reason we want to change all these to elifs is what I just described. If these were all if statements, it would check if I is equal to 0 or j is equal to 0. And in the case, let's just say I is 0 and j is 1. Okay, so this will print rij will equal that. But if I, which is, let's say I is 1 and j is 0, if I is greater than j, which it is, then this will also happen if this is just an if statement. If it's an if statement, all of these will be checked. However, if you just have an if with a bunch of elifs, only one of them can execute because it's if and then else if. So if this is false, then this will be red. If this is false, then this will be red. But if one of these is true, the rest will not be red. So moving along from that, let's Control S and let's run that. And then as you can see, we do have a similar output here. Where it looks like we actually do have the correct output. I'm just trying to verify. All we need to do now is use the round function, which is something that was allowed. It said so on the PDF. So the rounds function, all we're really going to have to do here is type rounds, and it takes 2 arguments. In this case, it's going to be what you want to round and how many places, which in this case we want 1. I apologize if you can hear my dog barking. I'm going to hit just paste there because, you know, that's how the round function works. It says I'm missing something, which I'm actually confused about. I don't know what that red squiggly is about. Rounds, Fibonacci divided by... I'll let the compiler here tell me what's wrong. Okay, so nothing was wrong with that. That's weird. I guess it's just giving me a random... red squiggly line. I hope it will yield something during the next run because it's not really making any sense. I just need to change these i's and j's now. Okay, I'm going to run that. And okay, yeah, so as you can see, we are getting the correct output. It says test case passed, gives you the correct output. That was all there really was to it. This lab actually had nothing to do with the recursion besides, I mean, this bit, but it was already coded for you. I don't know. I expected expression to the right of the equal sign. Okay, I'm just going to ignore this red squiggly line because it ran and gave the correct output. Sometimes there are some bugs in the Visual Studio Code, but that is okay. If you have any questions, do let us know.